documents. That list, it shows that the agents in search of Mar-a-Lago were investigating potential violations of at least 3 separate statutes. That is according to a statute under the Espionage Act. The unsealed property receipt also shows that federal agents removed 11 sets of classified documents, including some that were labeled top secret. Also on the list, information about the president of France, a grant of clemency for Roger Stone, and binders of photos. Donald Trump's lawyers say they did not object to this information being released. For more now, we bring in Chief Investigative Reporter Aaron Katarski, former FBI agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garris, and attorney Kim Wheely, ABC News legal contributor and law professor with American University. Aaron, starting with you, huge news day, a lot to take away. What stands out most in your minds?
Well, I think the fact that this document was released in and of itself is noteworthy because it does show, as Attorney General Merrick Garland had said, that these are extraordinary circumstances after an unprecedented search of a former president's home. And we know that the FBI was looking for classified material. They were given a wide berth to search the former president's office, along with any potential place where documents or boxes could be stored. And they took out a number of boxes, more than 20 boxes, and 11 different sets of documents of various classifications, including one set that was so sensitive they were only meant to be viewed in a secure location. And that is part of what brought the FBI to the Palm Beach home of the former president on Monday. They had tried to get these materials through a subpoena earlier in the spring, Deirdre, but apparently they learned that there were other documents in the president's possession. What the search warrant does not explain, though, is why those documents left the White House in the first place and what they were doing at the former president's residence. And the FBI is, as you say, investigating 3 different criminal statutes. You mentioned the Espionage Act. And that's interesting, Deirdre, because the classification of documents doesn't necessarily matter under the Espionage Act. It can be a crime, the Act says, to remove documents related to national defense. And so while we don't know the specifics of the items recovered, we could perhaps presume that at least some of them are related to the nation's national security.
So, Kim, picking up on what Aaron just told us, what is the significance to you of including the Espionage Act?
You know, it's actually a pretty long statute, Deirdre. But what's interesting is there are a few of the subsections that only kick in if there's a showing, presumably a trial, if there was a charge of an intent to injure the United States or to aid a foreign nation. So that's, to me, the critical component there. There's also the obstruction statute that was mentioned. And my question there, basically it says that it's illegal to destroy or conceal documents in an effort to impede or obstruct an investigation. What the warrant doesn't say is are they worried that just the Presidential Records Act investigation is being obstructed, or maybe there are other investigations that are in play here? We just don't know. It's a very bare bones warrant. It doesn't give us any of the detail that an actual later indictment, if that were to ever happen, would include, for example.
I mean, I think what's clear is this is unprecedented and extremely unusual, this whole series of events.
I know. I think it's, you know, probably one of the biggest and most serious stories in the history of the United States. I mean, you know, this SCI level of top secret information. You have top secret, you have secret, and you have classified. Apparently, all of it was included here. The SCI level is for need to know. Even people who have their top secret clearance, if they don't need to know something about a particular piece of information, they have to leave these secret facilities. There is no justification, no rationale for this material ending up in Mar-a-Lago, out of the White House. It's a violation of the Presidential Records Act. And it's obviously, just by virtue of this warrant, a massive threat to national security. It should not be floating around in, you know, a private citizen's residence that is Donald Trump. So I think the government in this moment, there's a question of, okay, it's unclear, first of all, that Donald Trump is the subject of this, these potential criminal statutes. Other people could be involved or not. So there's a question of, okay, who are there crimes here? But I think there's also a major question: what happened to the security of the United States? Can we put these pieces of the puzzle back together and figure out if some of this material got in the hands of people that are our enemies and could actually not just hurt national security, but even put people's lives in danger who are involved in the national security space on behalf of the United States?
Well, emotions are high, to be sure. Brad, picking up on what Kim was just telling us, FBI, Department of Justice under fire for days from Republicans, also from the former president himself. What do you make of how the FBI is handling this situation, political climate included?
I think they're doing a terrific job. Keep in mind that when you write a search warrant, you don't put every violation you believe that you could prove. You put the ones that are easier, because that gets you in the door. So he's not charged, obviously, with an Espionage Act type charge. Some of these could lead to that. So you start with that. So they're building a very careful house, is what they're building. And I think what's going to happen is they know a lot more about if espionage has actually occurred in this case. I just think that this would not have happened if it was just documents, despite the level of classification, at President Trump's house. And the real key, and maybe they know this and maybe they don't, is what has he done with those documents? Has he shared them with a foreign government? I mean, you talk about explosive. We'll see. Hopefully that's not the case. But, why else would he have taken them other than to use them in some form or fashion in his private life?
Well, Brad, as you said, hopefully that is not the case. Aaron, if you don't mind, remind us of the rules of security clearance for former presidents.
Well, former presidents are no longer possess the clearance they did as president. So it wasn't immediately clear that the former president could simply declassify the documents on their way out of the White House. A former president would have to be given a security clearance by the current president if he were to be receiving an intelligence brief or have access to that kind of sensitive information. We've been told that the current president, President Biden, has not granted that level of clearance to former President Trump.
Aaron, thank you. Brad, Kim, thank you very much for